Number 48. Disease shows a love affair between a zombie and a mortal. It's pretty fun while revolting simultaneously. I think the concept hasn't been done before, or at least it's novel enough for a laugh. I won't lie, I was a little stiff while this short started and stretched for a bit, so I missed the middle of the film. So reviewing this quick 5 minute movie while having missed a good chunk of it feels a little misguided. Number 47. Crack really tested how visual the medium of film can be, or perhaps should be in this instance, because I saw it totally in French, no subtitles, so interpretation was important. I understood none of the dialogue, but it ended up being minimal anyway, and you could totally understand the payoff, which then inversely explains the setup and beginning of the tale. There is a payoff, it's basic and perfectly fine without being a mind blower, unless there was stellar dialogue, which I couldn't understand, of course. Number 46. Under the Canopy is a pretty little animation with something getting squashed. It's a fun enough hat trick with little meat attached to it. It's done in a minute, and my thought when it ended was, okay. Number 45. Rien que du vent is about a detective coming to a small town to investigate her disappearance. It's a windy spot for sure, and it's established that at peak height, someone could just get swept away. But he inserts the occult into the mix as an answer. It's neat to see someone who's presented as omnipotent eventually come across as more of a doofus as the story progresses. Or perhaps it just needs time to establish that he was Christ. The movie is nice, but I didn't find it as funny as it was intended to be, and the Fantasia Fest audience didn't really connect with it too deeply either. Number 44. Les Temperament is a pretty messed up short that looks at a cowardly teacher who displays a high-minded ethic to impose on others, but is not of the moral character that he professes is ideal. The film has him talk to his class and go into a compromising situation. The last shot is utterly savage, and it very much has a payoff from a perspective. Some of the effects aren't great, but it's a good hat trick of a film. Number 43. Tomorrow is a good short film to watch in July during Fantasia Fest because it's all about a heat wave and hallucinations coming from it. The concept is good and there are crispy moments, but it's a lot to ask that a single actor must deliver the entire movie, even if it is a short. I felt a little underwhelmed by the end. Number 42. Floor is a funny, goofy, revolting, and action-packed short film coming from South Korea, showing inconsiderate people get beat up for being too loud in this already too sketchy apartment building. It's really about the final showdown, but the build-up is important. The place is so nasty, it's difficult to perceive such filth existing, but it's honestly not too much of a stretch for such a filthy world. I think the movie has heart, it's a fun ride, and it was the perfect short to play before the feature Noise, another movie from South Korea about a noisy apartment building, but in a completely different context. Number 41. I like Tortilla Triste by the end. The setup seemed rough, but because it's just over 50 minutes, there's enough time to transition into something meaningful. Some guys are on some dopey hunting trip, and then one person is triggered when told not to be, and then a dark flashback occurs to some grisly occurrence in real time. The ending and flip really worked for me, but it's still a little janky. Number 40. Minu et la Vipère is a very detailed animated short set in futuristic San Francisco. It's French project, though, which threw me off a bit as well as the climax of the short. But the mentioned climax sort of works in the Fantasia Fest setting to be cryptic. Storyline is fine, although a bit of a cliche, but the main character and much of the action is good stuff. Number 39. Head cases me on a bad day. Hopefully not, though, but this is like a worst case scenario for people trying to pop off on the internet, being a delusional tryhard with nothing to offer the viewer. We get an influencer get carried away, and then eventually a talking head is involved. There's this leap into a head talking, but that's something you'll have to accept if you want to enjoy this short. I think the whole thing is pretty cool, but sometimes I want to see a tale about influencers who aren't popping off, but are at least trying. This particular character is a bit of a stereotypical one, but it's a fun enough ride. Number 38. What if the shrimp coats the shrimp fried rice? What does this all really mean, man? This short film is high on the absurd and the concept. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and it isn't auditioning to be morphed into a feature film. It is a nice enough creative concept launch, though, into the foray of narrative filmmaking, and it has a high amount of fun built into the absurdity of it all. I think the movie shows some promise, and in the future, it'll be nice to see the director add some dramatic tension to whatever content is pitched for a feature film, or at least another short film. Number 37. The Space Survivor is a good tale. It looks at two people walking around in this wintry woods, and in the plot, they are travelers to another world hired by a perhaps sketchy company. One of them believes they have been abandoned there for some reason, while the other is more positive about the situation, not succumbing to paranoia in her view. The contrast is nice and they have good chemistry together. The result is a tale that might be a battle of attitudes. Number 36. The short film Dangerous Delivery is an action comedy coming from Montreal, which premiered at Fantasia Fest in the Magasin de Maladies program of short films. They looked as like essentially offbeat comedies. An Uber Eats driver gets two guys coming in her car who claims she is an Uber driver. That's the funny premise. Then there's a showdown that should amuse you. The vibe was fun and light. There are no plans for a feature out of this, but perhaps it would make for a fun expanded sequence in another tale. I showed this short to my dad and we both enjoyed it. Number 35. Hey Babe is a funny short. It shows a couple's living dynamic. She's the breadwinner and he's cool but obnoxious. She's clearly trying to get something submitted to work on a deadline, but he keeps saying, Hey Babe. Once she finishes writing whatever it is she's writing, he has her attention and shows her in the medicine cabinet a mysterious bottle. How did he get there, we wonder. Then she throws it out. Then he points out that it has returned. She keeps throwing it out and it keeps coming back. Then the husband drinks the liquid, disappears, and magically out of nowhere writes Hey Babe continuously in her laptop through some sort of essence. There is one final shot, which I won't reveal, but this one had me laughing. Number 34. The screaming has a great reveal through the utility of sound. A woman is working at the morgue. We hear her listening to tracks with her earbuds on, and then suddenly she realizes something is off and takes them off. Screaming from one of the dead emerges, and things get sticky from there. Eventually, another corpse gets in on the action. This one was pretty darn gross. It was an interesting way to set up information within the story, and then that makes what happens at the end even better and more compelling. Number 33, the short film Cataract reminded me of the short The Big Shave by Martin Scorsese, where a guy shaves himself but deliberately cuts his neck, bleeding profusely. Apparently, this is a critique of the war in Vietnam. This short, as far as I could tell, is not a critique of any current war, but a woman deals with dental care in a washroom with nasty consequences, like in The Big Shave. And made me recoil. That's fantastic. It's simply a cool short, nothing more, nothing less. Number 32. What's nice about Waverly is the ambiguous nature of it, and the moral of the story of the movie is truly what you think it is. But you might just snitch on yourself in the process. I think Quebecers, for whatever reason, can explore sexuality in a more nuanced and subtle way than the rest of Canada, or America for that matter. It is truly a wonderful thing about this province's cinema. It happens to be based on a true story. It is my belief that it could make a great feature, perhaps following the fate of one of the characters at the end of the story, with the short's content being fleshed out a bit more for the first act. Number 31. It is a wonderful thing that the short film La Tour de Canada exists. When I was a kid and watched YTV, this style of animation existed, and it's a lot of fun to see again in a new context. We get this weird-looking bike race, and someone watches it on TV. It's like us, the viewer, but the bike even pays him a visit. What a rush. The bikers even pay him a visit. What a rush. It doesn't really have much of a plot beyond that, so if the visuals weren't crispy or at least nostalgic, the scene would fall flat on his face. But it didn't, and it is fun, so all is fun. Number 30. The arc is high on the vibes, and the story is fine, but it's all cohesively good and fine because of the dark sci-fi vibe. A strong visual sense is good enough to guide us through a quick short such as this. I think it almost washed over me. I remember enjoying it at the moment, but had to read a write-up to remember it. The whole vibe is there, but it comes and goes. There's also nothing wrong with that as far as I'm concerned. Number 29. Forbidden Valentine is a lot of fun to look at, and it has an engaging story. We get to hang out with a girl, then lady, who lives on a planet mostly free from humans, but with a robot companion. It's got story development with heart and a great ending. It is a reflection for those of us who are increasingly charmed and are spending more time in the company of AI. The movie is easy on the eyes, and the female character is really lovely. It's an animated short that I'd certainly be happy to watch a couple more times. Number 28, the short film Loud was awesome. Back in 2021, I really enjoyed the movie The Sound of Violence, where sounds of murder are used for electronic music production by a courageous protagonist. This film has a sound produced by a musician that is actually like a demonic infestation and might mess up someone else who is present at this recording studio. There's a lot of dark, cool impact to be experienced here. This is a great short film to set some tone for other ones that might linger on something a little bit more. Number 27, Check Please is really funny. It's a tale of two South Korean relatives, one from the homeland and one born in North America, dueling it out to be the one to pay for the bill at the restaurant. There's a lot of kung fu movie sounds and a lot of comedic battling to see who will eventually pay for the damn meal. Both central characters made me laugh, and there are cultural differences in family roles that are emphasized well for laughs. The whole theater was hollering during this one. Number 26. Atom and Void is a cool and dark short film showing a tarantula's journey into a very cool reveal. It's harsh and very badass, I would say. The final shots really hit hard. I don't know if I describe this experience as meaningful, but rather cool. I'm fine with that, of course. I think that things that walk the line between gross and interesting can be worthwhile. If it didn't have the reveal, it wouldn't be worth it. It's not a three-act structure. It's an exploration, then a payoff. It's a fun little thing you'd be lucky enough to see, ideally on the big screen at a film festival such as Fantasia Fest. Number 25. Captain Gamma is one of the best shorts I've seen in a while, or at least it's my favorite. The Fantasia Fest audience seemed to be into it, but many people were bewildered by it. It takes a ratchet looking visual design, something that could be alleged to be primitive, but makes it fun, and the identity of the shortcomings, get embraced and it becomes a strength through comedy. We get a tale of a guy who goes to the moon in the 60s, funded by Howard Hughes, to then see intergalactic slavery. Whether or not he rises to the occasion is something you'll have to wait and see for yourself. Number 24. I don't know if the bearded girl is really qualified to be a Fantasia Fest film. For me, this is a weird drama or comedic drama. It doesn't resemble a genre film to me, which is the specialization of the festival. I'm in no position to wean out such content, nor would I know how to go about it. The Canadian film industry certainly needs love, but this and some other films are questionably adjacent to the mandate. The movie is about reconnecting or accepting carnival roots in the form of being a bearded woman. It's sort of this uncomfortable coming of age movie, which may resonate with some. I like coming of age stories a lot. The imagery here is kind of messed up and just made me feel like I was watching some abomination. To me, this carnival lifestyle should probably be rejected. Some people I know are uncomfortable with these roots, and there is a difference to me between acceptance and an embrace of something. We can move on and feel not shame while still not liking something. This movie is cool, but it's glaringly bizarre and kind of a bad way. It's cool, but not that cool. I like it, but also will be fine to not think about it too much going forward. But it did animate an impression of me, so something's going on. Number 23. The premise of the Forbidden City was very exciting for me. It's a kung fu movie set in Rome, Italy, which is makes my favorite genre movies outside of America, and China is in my top 5 to be certain. However, the film felt uneven and lacked cohesion. Like a synthesis that didn't amount to much. It lacked a hard punch from either direction, and I found myself fidgeting throughout. It's annoying when that happens at a film festival. And there ends up being another experience that other people enjoyed, and most likely you would have too. Oh, well, you can't get it right every time. I did get to talk to a cool film critic beforehand, and perhaps that justifies the whole experience. All the tropes and plot turns have me essentially yawning. Nothing is synced up as an exciting moment or possibility of an exciting moment. The fight choreography is all fine, but the story just did not have me emotionally invested in this experience. We had a Chinese lady who knows Kung Fu, tries to track down her sister in Rome, and enlists a local to help her. They end up both having skin in the game and get romantically entangled. There's a Chinese restaurant and mafia thrown in there. Number 22. Cello is a very strange film. In a touching and sincere way, it basically worked for me, and I'd love to get Alejandro Jodorowsky's response to this movie, because it sort of has his brutal mysticism residually in it. At least I felt that way. Maybe the director isn't a fan, though. We get the tale of a young girl who kills her parents, and we find out eventually as to why she would do such a thing. That's how the movie starts. She swallows a fish and kills her parents quite brutally. Her father didn't see it coming, and her mother is happy that it happens. She then hits the road and to see her priest get a getaway car from him, meet some lady, see some wrestling, get busted, and go on a spiritual odyssey for the new people in her life. The child actor is very good, but things felt abrupt and unjustified at times. I just didn't really get it. It made me ponder why this movie is what it is. I still think it's got something going on, though. I talked to people at Fantasia Fest who love this one. It totally worked for them, and on a deep level. It's certainly a potent film, and it's doing something, but I don't get it or just don't love it like some of my friends. Number 21. I think it's safe to say now that there is a Canadian approach to post-apocalyptic genre. Obviously, George Miller really laid it down in Australia. America does their thing with it as well. But in Canada, we don't have lavish budgets to play with. Normally, and our post-apocalyptic movies are generally tied to the environment, and they show people making difficult decisions cerebrally. This movie, The Well, is another example of that. One thing that will pop out to you and remain consistent is the dreamy way it is shot. It feels like a very dire dream, aware of itself the whole time. The dynamic at first is we have three family members living off the grid, but very quickly a mysterious fourth individual comes into the dynamic, forever altering the mundane yet safe routine. This bizarre cult emerges and everything shifts towards that. There's a memorably wicked cult leader, and the environment becomes more ratchet and like a cult created in a trailer park in a post-apocalyptic setting, additionally. Sometimes this movie lags, and my interest was not 100% there, but there are cool performances and a unique presentation of a post-apocalyptic scenario, so basically I really enjoyed the experience. Number 20. My mind got semi-blown learning that the director of Noise is a first-time timer. This horror film from SK packs in a lot of atmosphere, creepy imagery, and jump scares that should work for horror film fans across the board. We get this apartment building, which has sounds that drive people crazy. Everyone is going crazy here, but those who follow the sounds and confront people end up crazier, even dead. Some things are better not to be known, I guess. There's a lack of logic that works for a horror movie. Why don't people leave this building, and why is the basement a portal to hell? Are questions that don't need an answer with a horror film-based dream logic. There's enough of a justification for these questions lingering due to the nature of the film. If you don't like that, you came to the wrong address. But so did everyone else living in this cursed building. One thing brought up during the Fantasia Fest Q&A is the scary nature of the building in itself. We will see a crazed character in a backdrop of static doors to other residents who must be feeling very similar. The last shot has a brutal comedic touch, and some of the kills and moments of tension are great to experience with an audience gathered in front of a big screen. I certainly hope you check this one out. Number 19. Takashi Miike has made lots of different kinds of movies, but Blazing Fist is his first sports movie. It's about two young guys who went to juvenile hall due to their transgressions. One day, a guy with a fighting show gives a talk to the juveniles, and he talks about their potential second acts that could occur if they really dedicate themselves to something and don't get sidetracked. The guys get out and join a gym to eventually learn to kick some ass and ideally get on the show to hang out with the guy who inspired them so much. Along the way, we learn that they have a beef with the gang. They try to work it out, but eventually that becomes unavoidable, and they had to try to beat them up. This movie is funny. It's like Miike doing a Stallone movie. It has lots of sports movie tropes, and it is a very funny coming-of-age movie while being a little bit hacky. No, it isn't top-tier Miike, but at least he's trying something else and isn't delivering the same movie every time. This one had a lot of audience engagement at Fantasia Fest. It can deliver some hype. The editing is pretty funny and ridiculous, which is to be expected. The movie made me laugh, cringe, and enjoy seeing the growth of some lovely young people from Japan. Number 18. The film Chow will work for fans of The Little Mermaid, as everyone else has pointed out, but dare I say it, Aquaman fans should probably dig this one as well, given the aquatic setting and all. The movie really toes the line between being an obnoxious sugar high and being something exciting yet magical for the children. Even though it's not really for me, I admire the film. The movie's for kids and tweens, or perhaps people older, just less of a curmudgeon than I am. This is a movie, when mentioned, I'll respect and even admire from afar, without ever being fully engaged in it. I don't think that means anything negative at all. It's just where I'm at and how I will digest this sort of thing. I need the animation to have some edge to get involved. That being said, it looks at two different worlds beautifully. The intrigue and friction, we get a cool, futuristic Shanghai, nice enough characters to be invested in, and some omnipotent baddies of sorts. Crunchyroll is a great company. They stream quality content, and this is not disappointing for fans of the streamer. You just may be like me, and this just may not be for you. Number 17. Julie Pacino is Al Pacino's daughter. It was neat to see her in person introduce her first film called I Live Here Now. It's got a sad cast, and I say the experience was fun in the sense that it's hot nonsense. The movie is abstract or maybe just bizarre. I try not to think about these things too hard. I watch abstract art and come away with my own impression of things in the best case scenario. I'll never bust my brain thinking about it, though. So either the movie is enjoyable or it is not. The endless abyss of wonder what it all means is something that doesn't really interest me 99% of the time. So we get a woman on the run due to a mean boyfriend, played by Matt Riff of the Internet's fame, with an even meaner mother, played by Cheryl Lee of Twin Peaks fame. And she ends up in a mysterious hotel. There we have three other intense women to hang out with, one of them played by Madeline Brewer, who I loved in the 2018 Fantasia Fest film Cam. I believe she represents one thing in our protagonist's life, and the other ladies represent other things. I could be wrong. We do get images that look similar to the Red Room in Twin Peaks, and it wraps up fine enough. So this movie got mad praise or shade in some cases. I thought it was pretty cool. Number 16. All you need is kill is like that Tom Cruise movie Edge of Tomorrow. We're in the futuristic environment, and the film has a reincarnation, except you're in the same body with the same identity all over again. At the same time, as well, the movie is like Robo War. It's essentially an Italian Predator spoof, but I saw it several times before seeing Predator for the first time. So the spoof is the original content for me, at least. I also haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, so if I ever do, I'll be comparing it to this one. It's very nice visually and essentially relatable throughout. It's quick, which is over 80-minute duration. The characters are verging on obnoxious. They get to be a little grating at times, but they never entered the territory of being annoying like the little girl actress in Psycho Gorman, which affected that great contest. I think, though, that if you're a little bit younger than me, or a lot younger than me, you'll be highly absorbed in this experience for while it lasts. And for people who remember movies from 10 years ago, you've got a comparison to make. I basically really enjoyed this movie. The colors and concepts were great. And I never got upset at the levels of annoyance being presented in this film. Number 15. I really enjoyed the movie Foreigner. Coming of age stories are great, and I've been lucky enough to know some Iranian women as of late, so I can sort of see them in this tale. We get a teenage girl growing up in Canada from Iran and experiencing culture shock. Her father is very strict, and she's unfamiliar with the customs of her new home. With that, these teenage white girls sort of treat her well and indoctrinate her. um, they seem quite sinister on the low on a Jordan Peele's Get Out sort of vibe. I think that the offbeat, sinister, and malevolent tone of the teenage girls is great, and you can see how it's confusing given that the father character has no clue how to react to any of this. The horror element is quite strong. It is strong enough to satisfy, but not so brutal that it'll scare away newbie teens or tweens who are relatively new to the horror genre. I think that's a great strength. The tone, pace of the story, and acting are really superb here. It's proof that Canada can create excellent horror. I'd even be interested in picking up where we left off for a sequel. Number 14. Garo Taga is the latest in the series I didn't know anything about, but thoroughly enjoyed while being perplexed by this Power Rangers for adults tale from Japan. We get this guy who walks around normally looking like a temple guard from the Jedi Temple to at times being a golden animal masked Super Saiyan style warrior at moments of need. He's called as something rather nice, and there's a lot of world building talk throughout this movie. But just the fact that his normal apparel is what it is, and no one seems to care, was bizarre to see. I guess this is the same culture that will occasionally live through kaiju attacks, so it's nothing too strange. I also am being a bit nitpicky because the experience was loads of fun for me and something to recommend. The bad guy is enough of a threat. He is unlocking some celestial cheat code to be extra bad to people and subject them to his reign. I guess we need to stop him, but not without the help of some other celestial-esque humans. You need a sidekick here for good measure. We get a female one. And another guy who isn't even a human being. There are different celestial realms that interact here that probably shouldn't be. This movie is silly fun. Number 13. Hold the Fort is like Sinners in that it felt like to me it was channeling from Dusk Till Dawn. It's just this version is more about the fun than the folklore. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I enjoyed this antic-space horror movie. There was a lot of excitement here, some really funny lines, and an over-the-top acting style that felt very suitable. If you want to be pensive for a film, this is the wrong one. But if you're trying to kick back and relax and you came to the right address, this cursed property produces a lot of insane fun. The sense of community is fun here. Yes, the group gets considerably peeled down throughout the film's duration, yet there's a sense that everyone is essentially in it together. It is kind of uplifting for a film with witches and zombies in terms of tone, but also the mentioned feeling of community being pulsed throughout the movie. It's something you might not notice, but it is there. The movie at first seemed too silly for me, but by the end, I was fully invested in the experience. It's fun, it's cute, it has something else going on besides being profoundly profound. It's just a good time. Number 12. The movie Lucid is wild. It has great production design, acting, and is quite the relatable tale. It's all about an aspiring artist, and the film looks at the sacrifices one has to make to be an artist. The fact is, it takes hard work, and there's no shortcut around that. You can't think yourself into being an artist. You can spend time engaged with the past greats, but you have to be in motion to make moves. We see a young artist attempts to find her spot in the world. She's a painter, and at first, she submits something weak to her class and gets told that she might not be good enough. We then see her working at a fast food joint. The whole approach to the movie's visuals is key. It's chaotic and expressive, echoing the mind of our protagonist. There are a lot of wild visual sequences here, the best being saved for the end. It's the message and even a warning of dedication here. Either one commits to the life or the attempt was wasted. People will judge you for the art life, and if you don't produce, maybe they are correct in doing so. This movie is like a contemporary version of Herschel Gordon Lewis's Color Me Blood Red, since it actually has a message that makes a lot of sense. It's got a lot going on, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Number 11. I enjoyed All Jacked Up and Full of Worms when it played at Fantasia Fest back in 2022. So when I read about the director's follow-up film, it sounded better, and it ended up being better. It's not perfect. I feel like the last film, it must course correct and justify things morally or from a happier angle. And it's my wish that some things in cinema remain unapologetic and grimy. But the movie is quite grimy for much of it. A food delivery guy is a sex worker for men and women alike, and he goes on quite a journey in the film. Things go from ideal, he's good at his job, people enjoy his company, to grisly. Well, let's just say something goes down, and now he's suspect. He's got to figure out some things, and time is working against him. The setup for this movie was a lot of fun, and where it goes is believable, and how it wraps up is fine. The whole look is great. It was shot on film and will be projected at Fantasia Fest on film. I like that this is a smut movie. I like that we follow characters like this. I like that it's shot on film. I like that it's played at Fantasia Fest, and I like that there will be a cool Vinegar Syndrome release of this eventually. Number 10. I seem to have a complicated relationship with the cinema of Helen Catetz and Bruno Forzani, because for related reasons, I was all for their new film titled A Reflection in a Dead Diamond. At first, I saw their movie Amir when it was a new release about 15 years ago, and the fetishistic tribute to the giallo genre was irresistible then. My first Midnight Madness public screening was their film Let the Corpses Tan. That movie was equally psychedelic and a fetishistic tribute to the Italian genre. But it dawned on me that nothing was really being said or contributed to cinema. I was just getting these dazzling but void products. But, the shots are really crispy, and it's great to see Fabio Tessi in a meaningful role. It's still not a perfect movie, but the experience is fun, and this is probably my favorite movie by them. That doesn't mean it's immune from the problems, which I've had with their movies, but with adjusted expectations, this movie becomes a great vehicle for my guy Fabio Testi to rise to the occasion. It also doesn't hurt that I was recently in the Côte d'Azur area last year, and I have a fondness for this lovely part of the world, making this film a fetishistic, diabolic kind of tribute I can forgive. Number 9. The animated movie Dog of God is a feast for the eyes and the mind for the historically curious or just fans of quality cinema. I thought this would be really good, and it surpassed my high expectations. We get a tale from the 17th century that is very focused on the religious element of the time and is largely critical of it. But we do get the mystical aspect of witchcraft, a werewolf, and the depiction of alcoholism, which the church here is against. It also comes from Latvia and is spoken in their native tongue and has scenes where a guy like Hitler looks like Hitler is tortured amongst everything else. This is far from a tame animation to pop on for the kids. I like its anti-conformist stance. It's a highly critical form of religion. It's okay to be suspicious of such an organization, especially with what they are known to have done to children. This movie might offend Christians, to be honest, though. I like the look of the movie. It's very colorful and manic. It has a great final showdown shot and pulsing feeling throughout its duration, even if the story lulls occasionally. The film premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, then made its way to Fantasia Fest. If you like historical movies from Europe that have both a critique of religion and arresting imagery, then look no further. Number 8. Scriptwriter Udio Makoto wrote the very funny time traveler time loop film Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes, and the pretty solid river. But I felt like the latter film was kind of a cheat. It felt too much like Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes for my liking. It was slightly more melancholic and less funny, but it was not enough of a shifted tone for my taste, and it relegated the movie to a hat trick. Here comes the rewrite, same writer, different director. And I thought, why not give this a chance? The result is the desire for the writer to move on from the time loop scenarios, but still enjoying the product. It comes 2 years later instead of just 1 year for my cinematic Japanese time traveler and time loop experience. And the story is different enough to feel removed enough to be enough of a different experience. I like the coming of age storyline, the big reveal, the deepening of the reveal into the end of the film, and the fact that it isn't a single day storyline. I think the actors were lots of fun, and it was interesting how the focus on the characters expanded as the story went on. If you haven't seen the other two mentioned movies, this film could be a revelation for you. Number 7. Death Does Not Exist is an obvious must-watch. It played at the Cannes Film Festival, for gosh sakes. And now it's making moves over to Fantasia Fest appropriately. This is a Quebec production. It's an animation, which looks great, and it has difficult moral philosophy within it. which is as rewarding by the end as it is perplexing by the end. This is a movie to dwell on. The animation is dreamy, contemporary. If you follow animation on the circuit, you know the kind of vibe. It's like rotoscoping and waking life, but decades later with new context. This time we get a home invasion. Things happen one way, then another. The movie has a very violent beginning, then it is subdued. Then we return to the violence with a new context and a new meaning begins to emerge before it's wrapped up. It's a trippy, cerebral affair, but also not a time waster. It proposes a new understanding of reality without being a boring lecture of a movie. If you've got 80 minutes to play with and you've got something to say, you've got to be lean. I can't think of a better movie coming from Canada. It will make us proud on the international film circuit scene. So we better celebrate it a lot when it comes to us at a Canadian institution like Fantasia Fest. Number 6, the movie It Ends was very satisfying for an experimental movie filled with existential dread. It's also a nice movie for Gen Z. The director in the Q&A said this generation has said this one gets the lingo. As a millennial, I don't know the Gen Z lingo is going really these days. I don't know how it's going these days. But this movie is something else. 4 individuals in their early 20s seem to have missed a turn, and then they get lost in the woods. Then we find out pretty quickly that no wrong turn was taken and no exit is in sight. This is a seemingly endless road, and now the characters aren't hungry, tired, and their car isn't running out of gas. If they pull over, within a minute and a half, a bunch of crazed people come into violent contact with their car. It's really scary the first time it happens. The group slowly goes pretty crazy, and the drifting ultimately has a satisfying payoff, which, of course, won't be revealed in this review, but this reviewer was fully behind this abstract effort. At first, I thought it might be an allegory for fear of aging and anxiety about the future, but it's more personal and intense than that. This can't be used as a general statement for humanity, I don't think. Number 5, Hellcat for me is pure cinema. It borders on absolute cinema. It's the kind of cinema I adore, the best to stumble upon with medium expectations, the glorious release satisfaction of finding something like this as a gift. It starts off as a concept movie of sorts. A woman is locked up in a trailer and somehow can't get out. An ominous voice talks to her throughout, a stuffed wolf head, but we are wondering what the heck is happening here for a good bit. Then things evolve, naturally, into a tale that is plausible, given the genre bent and the horror angle. But I bet it will still surprise you enough as well. It is placed behind the familiar, but it's still a revelation. I liked how mean-spirited and senselessly cruel things start off, and then the logic drips out slowly but surely. I wish more movies in general could offer a sweet release that Hellcat offers. With a great title, scripted and acted as well, I was really into the few characters we get to focus on, and love when spooky movies just have a few central cast members. So, get hyped for this one. Keep an eye out when it's released theatrically to you, ideally, or just watch it when it hopefully lands on a cool streaming site like Shudder or Tubi. Number 4, to see a new 4K restoration of a John Woo movie in the same theater where John Woo was present in 2022 was a blast. It's been 3 years, and his legendary residue lingers in the air. We saw Hard Boiled on a 35mm print, but this was also quite cool. Bullet in the Head doesn't have the same level of acting like Hard Boiled or The Killer have, but it's still an excellent scripted, crispy visually. It takes place during the war in Vietnam with some childhood friends from Hong Kong teaming up to do some dirty work for quick money. The quick stuff at the beginning establishing that they are friends is helpful because it is put to the test due to the circumstances they are under and the decisions made. There is pretty cool and ruthless sequence, that is similar to The Deer Hunter. It's just the actors are no Christopher Walken or Robert De Niro. They're cool, but it's the scenario that's the draw. It has quite a brutal ending with cuts from Woo that are nearly as good as The Killer or Hard Boiled. It pays off nicely, so keep your expectations to mid, and you might just get blown away with a bullet in the head. Also, the fact that the opening of the Stallone movie with the same title was played before the proper movie came on during the Fantasia Fest screening was hilarious. Number 3. The movie Transcending Dimensions was a revelation. I thought that perhaps it was going to be a jabroni affair, something silly and disposable, but that was far from the case. Blends the world of the Yakuza with the world of cults. The occult is showed off, but it is depicted with a grounded approach. There are plenty of trippy images, but not an oversaturation of them. It's quite unique like that. It can remind you of films like Holy Mountain in 2001: A Space Odyssey, but then be a grounded crime film with just some different imagery. The title alone sounded like it could be goofy, but it's not a goofy movie. It's an important one to me because of the great balancing act it does. It deals with the occult, but can't be accused of being pretentious, indoctrinated trash. It's clear to me that I need to see more by the director, more films by this director. Some of his past work is also being highlighted at the New York Asian Film Festival, and this one will also make its way to Fantasia Fest. This is the sort of revelatory film I seek, but usually just stumble into, and now I've got a new director to get into and appreciate for the future. Number two, Angel's Egg is the third restored movie I saw during Fantasia Fest 2025, and the first anime as well from Japan. It felt cryptic to me, but it was very short and full of arresting imagery. It's a movie to interpret. It might have had a zeitgeist feeling 40 years ago, but I wasn't alive then and couldn't tell you what the pulse of anything might have felt like. A young lady is tasked with keeping her angel egg protected in the first scene, and what happens there is the fate of her life as well as society, broadly speaking. Who might want to crush the egg of an angel might surprise you. There just may be someone who desires to do so. I think this movie is saying something about lost innocence and its reverberations to others across our community. The imagery reminded me of the artwork of H.R. Giger. It's very dark and goth-like, as I said. It is arresting, and then there is not a lot of dialogue, it's just visual setup. I was totally into it. The music helps as well. The film is unsettling and has a great ending that was very appropriate. I thought it's great that the work has was done to do a 4K transfer, and I just love this sort of movie. Number one, the new restoration by Arrow Video of the Shaw Brothers movie, The Battle Wizard, was certainly my favorite screening of the 2025 edition of the Fantasia International Film Festival. Make no mistake, I sort of figured it would be. And it's probably going to be released in Shawscope Volume 4, which will perhaps come out later this year or next year. It has a lot of magic and nonsense in it. The first scene sets things up for a lifelong vendetta. We've got snakes, a giant one even, a monster buddy, incest, people walking around in the middle of nowhere, and lasers coming from the fist. What else can one want from a Shaw Brothers movie? When fantastical things get magical, and there was something very special about seeing it with an audience at Fantasia Fest. One of the notable young fellows must learn kung fu to become a great political leader, but doesn't want to put it in the work. So he finds out that a giant snake to suck the blood of to become good. It's a mystical one that takes a while to find. But then it looks horrible, and it takes doing something else to become a godlike kung fu master. There are loads of side characters to root for here. It's a sublime masterpiece,